Welcome to this library module. Our mission is to explore the library spaces, both physical and virtual, and to venture further beyond, to consider the usefulness and limitations of an internet search. We'll begin by discussing the library's physical space, the Bevavino Library. The library has 3 floors, each configured with different types of seating and floor arrangements to meet your need for either quiet contemplation or collaboration. The first floor has soft, comfy, open seating, while the second floor has hardwood study tables and chairs to accommodate multiple users. The third floor has individual study corrals. There's no decibel designation, but by natural arrangement, the library generally becomes quieter as you ascend the floors. We find Misericordia students discover their niche, are mindful and respectful of others' needs, so there is rarely any shushing to cool your jets. When you enter the building on the first floor, you're greeted by the circulation desk. This desk is where you come to check out the physical materials, books, DVDs, laptops, and more, where you can pick up books obtained from other libraries through interlibrary loan. It's a station to ask questions about the library and to inquire about research help. It's a busy area, and it contains one of several printing stations on campus. The second floor houses our computer lab, which is open to students when it's not being used by librarians for information literacy instruction. The second floor also has our reservable study rooms. These private study rooms can be used alone or with your study group, where you can utilize the whiteboard walls and erasable markers, and the projection screens where you can share the contents of your laptops when you collaborate. On the third floor, you'll find the Misericordia Archives. The archives are a physical repository of Misericordia historical artifacts and a digital repository of Misericordia scholarship. This includes the research projects you complete as Misericordia students. Also on the third floor is the McGowan Room. It's a meeting room which holds campus events. So when can you visit? Library hours are variable to meet the needs of the Misericordia community. They differ from weekdays to weekends, during university breaks, and academic semesters. So how do you keep track? Well, don't worry, it's all documented at the library virtual space, which is always open to you. You can access that space at the library homepage. That's misericordia.edu/library, or you can access it through the MU portal and the link to MU Library. The library homepage is the entry to our virtual space, and it's the gateway to information about the library. Click on Services to learn more. Scroll through and access our digital commons, and learn about library hours and access quick links to frequently used pages like Reserve a Study Room. But it's the library search box that is the launchpad for finding books, articles, and video that you need for your academic research. Using the library may be alien to you. In future modules, we'll teach you how to use the library search box to find information, but it might be tempting to use only the internet. Let me provide some perspective on using the internet for your research. Searching the internet for information is second nature to all of us, and it's great for exploring topics in news, for finding statistics from government and organizational websites, and for obtaining a quick answer. But when the stake of the accuracy of that information is very high, the burden of due diligence is great. Is the website trustworthy? Is the information accurate and from a knowledgeable and reliable person or organization? Do they provide proof for what they are saying, or is it just their opinion? To illustrate my point, consider this riddle. Where did Snoopy land in space? I want a quick answer, so I'll Google it. I'm at google.com and I'm going to enter Snoopy in space in the Google search box. My landing page with my results shows me that Snoopy in Space is a new television program put out by Apple. I did find this entry at decider.com. Following the link to the Decider website, I find this article on the television program, and in the process, a lot of advertisements were loading and a lot of clickbait is there, making me question the credibility of this site, but I explore further. And as I scroll down, I found this interesting piece of information that the Peanuts gang and NASA have a history together. The lunar landing module in the Apollo 10 mission was named Snoopy. That's an interesting fact, or is it a fact? I'm not quite sure yet, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to tell from this site. So I want to learn more about this particular website. One way to learn more is to look for an About section, sometimes at the top of the website, and very often you need to scroll to the very bottom to find the About link. If you click on the About link, you can learn more about the Decider. Here I learned that it's a pop culture destination site. While this site might be really great for learning about whether I want to watch a movie, but this might not be the best source of information for my academic work, particularly if I can't verify the facts or if I question the credibility of the source. When I consider using information, I want to know who actually provided that information, what their credentials are. I'm going to click on the link of the author, Joel Keller, to see if I can learn more. From here, I learn little about Joel Keller other than the types of programs he likes to watch. I don't even see any particular qualifications as a TV reviewer. I mean, don't we all watch TV and have an opinion? I'm going to go back to the article to see if I can learn more. I do learn a little bit more about Joel and about him as a journalist, and that he writes for the New York Times as well as Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, popular magazines that aren't considered academic. However, I'm still not able to verify that the information about Snoopy and the Apollo is actually a fact. I don't know where Joel got that information. And while it might be sufficient for him to mention it in a background information for his review of the program, it's not sufficient for me to be able to cite in an academic paper. I'll need to look elsewhere to vet that information. Our previous search returned results on a TV program. Using what we learned from the entry, let's revise our search, now entering Snoopy and Space Program. This first entry looks right on target. And it brings me to a government website by nasa.gov. The .gov tells me that it's a government domain, and NASA is the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. I can see that the article was written in May of 2019. And if I scroll to the bottom of the page, I can see that the web page was last updated on May 20th of 2019. It's important for me to know this because I want to know how current the information is. If I had not been familiar with NASA, I could just use the About section in the upper menu to learn more. But as I scroll through the article and begin to read, I learned how Snoopy, the cartoon character, got associated with the Apollo space mission, and I learned that the lunar module was used to skim the moon's surface and snoop around to scout for Apollo 11. The crew named the lunar module Snoopy, and the command module was named Charlie Brown. This fun fact is something I can cite in an academic paper because I verified it at the original source. After due diligence, we found solid, reliable information on the net, information we could certainly use and cite. But is the source appropriate for your assignment? You'll need to check your syllabus. Academic coursework often requires the use of scholarly or peer-reviewed sources. These sources have undergone an editorial process undertaken by experts in the research topic, and this takes some of the due diligence burden off of you. They're written by academic researchers, for academic researchers, and vetted by academic researchers. More importantly, they're written to the appropriate depth of content for a research paper, the type of content you might need to read more than once to fully grasp. The library has search tools that can help you isolate this type of content. And if you're going to be searching on the net, you might want to use another tool called Google Scholar. Regular Google search didn't produce any peer-reviewed sources on my topic. I might have better luck with Google Scholar, a search engine that looks for scholarly peer-reviewed sources. To get to Google Scholar, enter scholar.google.com. I've entered Snoopy's space program into the search bar. Here's a book that's piqued my interest, Echoes Among the Stars, A Short History of the U.S. Space Program. I can see this book by P.J. Walsh was written in 2000. I'm excited to be reading the book, but then I encounter a message like page 4 is not a part of this book preview. And as I scroll through, we see it happens a lot. What do I do now? Well, I recommend you go to the library. Deciding where to look for information is an important choice. Where do we go to find information? We may very well find scholarly peer-reviewed content on the internet, but web discovery is limited because the internet does not index all of the scholarly literature that's available. You want to look to the library databases which do index this type of content. Also, even when we find it on the internet, it is largely not for free. But because the library subscribes to the databases, it has access to much of the full text for MU students. We don't make it free for everyone. Again, that privilege that you have as an MU student. Also, if you can't get it full text in the database, the library has other means to get it. Some parting thoughts before you begin any assignment. Make sure you read the course syllabus. Do you need a scholarly peer-reviewed source? Do you need a specific format, a book, an article, a video? How current do you need that source to be? And if you're not sure, make sure you ask your professor. Proceed to the next mission and discover in future modules that searching for a book, an article, or a video can be just as easy as searching the internet, and take full advantage of your privileges as an MU student.